Where were you the day you got that call? The call. That one call no one ever wants to get.
I still relive that day. But on that day, November 30th, I was at a barber shop going to get my hair cut. And I just sat on the chair to get ready.
As we embark on this deeply personal conversation, I want to extend my utmost gratitude to Zahir Nganga for his willingness to share his story with us tonight. Additionally, let's take a moment to acknowledge the profound courage and strength of our guest as he bravely navigates the complexities of grief and loss. In the wake of unimaginable loss, he has not only found the resilience to navigate his own grief, but has also transformed his pain into a beacon of hope for others. Through his advocacy for mental health awareness and suicide prevention, he carries forward the memory of his beloved son, Jamal Nganga, with unwavering determination and love. Tonight, we have the privilege of hearing his story, a story of love, loss, and unwavering dedication to create a brighter, more compassionate world for us all. Hello, Zahir.
Hi.
Hi. As we sit here today, I can only imagine the depth of emotions that are going and are still resonating with you. It's been 7 years.
Yes.
It's hard to imagine how fast time flies since your son's heartbreaking loss, his absence. How has his absence sculpted the landscape of your heart? In those intimate moments when you're sitting on your own and you're thinking the quietness of your own thoughts, how have you been navigating life day by day?
Bianca, thank you for having this moment with me so I can share Jamal Nganga's story.
Yes.
Yes, it's been almost now going November 30th, it will be 7 years. And to tell you the truth, at first, the first few years, maybe 5 years, I was like in a fog because I never understood really, I could not even fathom the idea that my son had passed, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like in denial, I kept moving in life and kind of just assuming, my son was still there. But then later on, I kind of started accepting, that time, what happened to him, the pain I was going through, and I started cherishing now and trying to bring Jamal back to present with me. So everywhere I was going, every place I was meeting people, I was sharing about Jamal. So he was always present. And that way, now instead of grieving, I was celebrating him. The moments we shared together, the love, the sweetness of Jamal, and all the things, seeing your little baby growing up. So I started living with him, and so I would say the last really 3 years now is when really I kind of open up and say, you know what, I can't continue grieving.
Yes, and did you feel like the being closed off, and I know, like for instance, you were a very sociable person, but you kind of closed yourself off, not active on social media accounts. Yes. Were you feeling like it's a dream. Like I don't think it has really happened. Were you feeling like if you spoke about it, then it would be real? Essentially.
Yeah. And I mean, I was out of social media, especially Facebook. The moment, maybe a few months later after he passed away, I kind of disconnected. And that was a place of, you know, sharing about my family, my you know, who I was with my kids. And I stopped doing that. So I kind of went in a very, I was in a kind of in a, I don't want to say in a dark space or whatever, but I was kind of sheltered.
Yes.
Right. And didn't say much, you know, I mean, but then every day, I mean, I'll come home and kind of put, you know, before I go to sleep or when I wake up, you know, just reliving those moments, you know, and the technology of, let's say, like iPhones, they always bring memories every time you open your phone.
Yes, it will show you on this special day and show you a collage
collage of things, and then, you know, at that moment it looked really kind of like, wow, like bring me sadness, because I'm like, man, where's this guy? I mean, I miss him so much. But at the same time, I mean, just looking at his pictures, videos, things we shared, brought some good memories. So I started really reliving those good memories instead of just grieving, because there's some things you really can't control, and I'll never understand. But for me, celebrating his life, celebrating all these memories, started bringing me joy again.
Yes. So reflecting on your relationship with him, like with your son, let's begin from his younger years. Can you share any special moments that, or traditions that you, like we see when you have these memories pop up at different moments of the day? Can you kind of relive some of those moments or traditions that were particularly meaningful to the both of you?
Oh yeah, I mean, Jamal has a younger brother, Nabil, and at both of them at very young age, they were fun to watch because they were such vibrant, full of energy. They wanted to just be outdoor, play sports. From, you know, they started from football, playing football. Jamal especially took football really seriously, but he started growing so tall, so quickly. And to him, the moment, I remember one time, the day he picked a basketball, and that was it. I mean, he'll literally take his basketball with him everywhere he went, even in his bedroom, you know. We used to do a lot of fun things, you know. Originally, I'm from Kenya, so I wanted to share a lot of our traditions, you know, our food, our culture. So, you know, speaking to them in Swahili, giving them a little bit of history about Kenya, you know, our food culture, where I come from Mombasa. So they used to love those kind of memories. And, you know, I used to insist to them, like, you know, you're a Nganga, you know.
Yes.
I'll never forget that, you know, because, you know, my kids are from Kenya, their mom is from Somali. So there was a little bit of different cultures and things like that.
So a blend of
everything. Yes. So we both of us kind of understood that these kids needed to understand a little bit of both sides. So even my kids, Jamal and his brother Nabil, at a very young age, they went to school in Africa, in Tanzania, in Dar es Salaam for 1 year. So that was actually a big experience for them. And so they enjoyed eating ugali nyama choma, kachumbari, and all that stuff, because every time I spend the weekend with them, that's what we did. We went to family
Gatherings.
for events. We went to back in Maryland, summertime, going to the park and just spending the several hours out there with other kids, and so I saw that and was so in tune with those cultures and things like that. So yeah.
So they were pretty much a part of a big support and network system outside of the family community.
Yes.
And very much sounds like he was very much involved in school activities.
Yes. He was.
With friends and...
Jamal had such a dynamic friends from different backgrounds, different races. I mean, you can see even some of his collage photos and all that stuff. So he blended very well. He adapted. He could put Jamal in any environment and he'll still make lots and lots of friends. Yeah, he had that leadership in him. People had this. They looked at him like a leader because he brought a lot of people together, and he was one of those guys. Like right now, you see what I have is "Life is for living." For living,
yes.
Yeah, he used to do that a lot. Say those words, "Life is for living," and apparently he built quite a good, strong friendship with a lot of this.
So he had really a positive outlook to everything around him.
Yes.
It seems like.
Oh yeah.
And in everything that he did, he was always looking upward.
Oh yeah,
forward.
Jamal. Not even a single day did I see this guy sad or anything. I mean, kids, there's certain age they go through or whatever. They have their own emotion changes.
Yes.
But Jamal was out there, traveling with basketball, making new friends, girlfriends, friends. I mean, in general, he had a mix of everybody, so vibrant. He loved looking good. Jamal is actually an Arabic name, which means handsome, cool. So people kind of reflected on that on him, and he really took that in a very positive way. Cause
he really embraced the essence of his name, is what I'm hearing.
His haircut, he had to look dope all the time, stuff like that. So I like that, I was like, this is really good, so yeah, those moments.
So it seems like you had navigating your father and son relationship you seemed like a dynamic duo, because even his style is smiling gets from you, because we all know, everybody who knows Mr. Zahir knows that Mr. Zahir and his golf, his sports, his social networks, and his smile and his general aura. So it seems like y'all had a very good strong father-son bond, with of course some joys, and as kids grow, yes, there are challenges, especially when kids get into adolescence and adulthood. If you could touch a little bit on his school grades, how was he doing academically, and a little bit of when did you see any challenges as he was growing up, because it's naturally when kids start
so Jamal, academically, he was a bright student, all the way from middle school, all the way to high school. He had, I would say an average of between 3 to 3.45 GPA. But then, like any other kid, he started slacking, especially in high school. I don't know, because of his popularity and things like that. He started, but then every now and then, I'll kind of sit down with him. His mom will sit down with him and say, hey, for you to graduate, you need to make this, numbers and things like that. So he took his school to be like a way of understanding that, you can still play basketball, but your education is really important. So that was one of the an essential for his foundation to understand. So both him and his brother made sure that they did it, completed their homework,
Yes.
their assignments on time. Rarely did we see any issues, you know, coming from school and things like that. So he was a very balanced kind of kid, you know, both sports, he excelled in his school. And so you know, you always had this feeling about Jamal and even his brother, like they're just good kids. So
Yes.
never worried about what issues, what's the next thing, you know, do you get a call from the teacher or from the principal? It never really occurred because, I mean, he had it together going on. So I never really had any issues with him because, I mean, he took care of what needed to be taken care of. Yeah.
All right. And through, as I hear you going through reflection moments on who he was, and you're painting a portrait essentially of the essence of who Jamal was, your son, you've offered us a glimpse into his personality. He looks like he had a unique blend of, you know, strengths, dreams, and aspirations. Did he ever come and speak about where he felt vulnerable in life, where he felt like he couldn't navigate? Were there those tough moments that he would come and say, Dad, here I just don't know how to navigate through this, or I'm afraid of this? Did he ever come?
Yeah.
Was he outspoken about his vulnerable spots?
One thing about Jamal, that's where now, sometimes even until today, I'll never have an understanding, because he never showed his vulnerabilities. He always had projected a positive vibe, you know, outgoing kind of stuff. But of course, just like any other young man growing up, I mean, there are times, you know, we had him going to therapies when he was young.
Yes.
But that was just a moment. He was just having challenges, and maybe because he was growing up, or life was changing from middle school going to high school. Things were just, and then after that, he kind of picked up, and you know, and those moments of vulnerabilities didn't really present themselves, because again, Jamal was a kind of kid that, you know, he reflected on his friends that, you know, he was a leader, you know. I mean, there are stories whereby in high school, instead of them going to a club or going smoking and doing stuff, he'll just basically gather all his friends at a Walmart. That was their spot.
So he never got dragged. You know, a lot of kids get influenced, or either they just want to try it because it's like a
they'll spend
a thing you've
hours,
got to do.
And he was such a silly, goofy kind of guy, joking all the time. So he always had his friends at a parking lot at a Walmart on a Friday, Saturday, and that's where they'll hang out and until weird hours, you know, and you know, and then come back home. And Jamal started driving. He was so independent. I bought him his first car when he just turned 16.
Oh.
And he started driving to school, picking up his brother. So he was really kind of responsible.
So did you teach him how to drive, or was it kind of self-taught?
Yeah, I taught him
how was that?
drive.
A lot of parents really that driving.
Man, I don't even remember because the moment I bought his car, I think I did a few lessons, and even before I realized, the guy was just driving. Like you're like, Jamal, where you at? I just left. I'm like, what? You comfortable? Like, wow, you're on a highway. So yeah, that, and then from there, like, you know, he's good, you know. I mean, to me as a parent, that makes you feel good, because you're like, wow, he's so independent at such a young age.
Yes.
And so I mean, I think he was one of the first few kids in the neighborhood who had a car.
Sounds very self-driven.
Yeah, exactly.
When you speak it. So I heard you talk about when he was a little younger, he went into therapy. Was there, you and his mom, at what point did you decide, and what led you to get him some professional help? Was it certain behaviors, or did you feel like he needed a little more support than you couldn't offer as parents?
I think at the tender age, I think it was around, I'll say between 14 to 16, he had some challenges, with changes, going to high school, different environment, the education, the classwork was more intense. And so I think just trying to adapt or meet those challenges, I think it started making him feel a little bit vulnerable. And just like any other young kid, that struggle and, so at that time, the mom, his mom and myself, we decided, it was best if he started, going for therapy so that he can open up and things like that. And again, once he went through that transition, after his second year, third year in high school, he was zooming. He had basically left all that stuff behind.
Okay.
And then from that moment, I mean, there was no indication or any signs that Jamal, you'll never see Jamal sleeping all day. The only time he'll be sleeping is because
he's so
tired because of playing basketball and things like that. And he knew when to rest. He loved his very self-love. He had all that, when he wanted to relax, But when he was out, he'll be traveling all over East Coast playing basketball, part of the AUU tournaments and things like that. So he was really involved in that kind of aspect. So
through reflections, there are little things we look at, like walking into rooms or places or visiting places, and we remember our loved ones when they're no longer with us. And photo albums are usually the keepsakes that we keep, and when we look at them, we can remember those great moments. And once we were visiting with the family, we did see a few great pictures and moments. So how do you keep the memory? And I see a few birthday pictures and when he was younger, some very beautiful moments that I saw here. As he was growing up, in all these photos, a smile is all I see. Every single photo, vibrant, happy child. So what do you believe were the most valuable lessons that you imparted to him as a father? And through all these, I know you can kind of look through and talk a little bit about these traditions and lessons you taught him as he was growing up.
Yeah, one thing basically did when my sons were born was instill in them love, consciously being kind to others.
Yes.
Always saying thank you to your elders and things like that. Ensuring that they completed their chores in the house. Making sure if their mom was bringing groceries, they had to go outside and pick those groceries and put them in the house, cleanness and things like that. So those are really what part of my foundation with them, just instilling that, just being a good human being, because I always told them, in this world, kindness and love, and when people see that, it goes a long way, And Jamal was that kind of, kid, him and his brother, they always made sure that even when the elders were speaking or they were around, they came and greeted them and, introduced themselves, and it showed even among their friends, good kids in the neighborhood. Jamal was never in trouble, He kind of had his own path of, and goodness in him, and that kind of projected to even the friends him, he built relationship with them, so and then also the aspect of my culture, just getting really involved in them, instilling them, the benefits of understanding other people, their issues and things like that. And that's why maybe Jamal that took that leadership within himself, because you could see even when growing up, he had friends just coming to the house all the time. I mean,
yes, in these photos, he's hardly. I think I only saw maybe 1 or 2 photos where he's alone, but he's always around.
Yeah, around his cousins, friends,
relatives,
and things like
family.
that. Yeah, so yeah.
And during this time when they were growing up, or even into their adulthood, how important was spirituality, belief in a higher power?
Spirituality was good. It was very fundamental to our home. Both his mom and I are very spiritually grounded, right? And even though Jamal understood that his mom was from a different part of Africa and I was from Kenya, we never created any ambiguity in terms of religion, things like that. So we allowed them to basically be grounded in every
faith.
aspect
Yes.
of spirituality, right? So and both of them really took that in heart, and respected that I come from a different background. Her mom comes from a different background, so they were very grounded. So part of that was understanding every other, family and friends, that people come from different, or they have different religion aspects of how they live their life and things like that. So he had friends from all the way from Catholics, Protestants, non-religious, maybe spiritual. So he made friends with a lot of people from different backgrounds. So so you could tell the kid was well spiritually grounded, and that really played a big role as him being the kind of person he was in the community.
All right, and this will be a good time for us to take a little pause as we reflect, and then we'll be back to share more about how you would love your son's legacy to live on, and how you want to keep him alive, and spread the message of awareness and hope to everyone. We'll be right back after the short messages.